Welcome to the Lapis Guides Introduction to QGIS Tutorials. Today in Module 2, we're going to be working with a simple data set, importing a raster, and also working with a vector. Got a couple links in the description of where you're going to get the data that we're going to work with. We're going to use a data set on populated areas, so all the cities and towns that have a certain population amount worldwide will be in this data set. You're going to use some information from the Natural Earth website, which is here. I'll have links in the description for you, and you can download the information from this page. And I'm using a raster from the large scale data set, as well as just the general Natural Earth Quick Starter Kit. I always like to make sure that things are in folders for ease of use. So I've made a folder for Module 2, and I've extracted the files from the zip files that are downloaded and put those into good folders. Natural Earth Quick Start Set, and it's also got lots of different things in here, and we're only going to be using one of them, but you're going to see how that works. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is I want to bring in my raster. There are a couple different ways that we can do this. Obviously, you can go to Layer, Add Raster Layer, or you can go over and you can click this button and you'll come up with that same window. But if I know exactly where it is, I can always actually just drag that into my layer panel, and it's a whole lot faster for me. All right, so there's our raster file that we're going to work with, and it's just a general map. It's got some terrain. Because it's a raster, as you zoom in, you start to see the pixels, right? So it's actually an image that has a specific DPI, and resolution can't be changed. Unlike a vector, where as you zoom in, the resolution continues to look good. So let's zoom to that layer. And the next thing I want to do, I want to bring in a file from my Natural Earth Quick Start. Right, I'm going to navigate to the 10-meter cultural. I'm going to scroll down until I get to my administrative countries. And shape files are always they're not a single file necessarily. It's a combination of files. But the one that we can load into QGIS is the .shp, or what would generally be known as the shape file. Right, so again, we can just drag that over. Great. Now you'll notice that it just covered up our nice raster. It's really simple to work with that. We'll just double click it. And in symbology, we go here and we'll make sure it's transparent. That's going to be fine. All right, great. So now we've got the outlines of the countries over top of our nice raster map. We can zoom in and we can, it looks pretty good there. So the next thing that I want to do is I want to bring in our population data. All right, and the same thing, since it is a shape file, I can just drag that in. So, and that's a whole lot of settlements, cities, towns, villages, etc., etc. Obviously, that's not going to count for every single one of them. As we start to zoom in, we start to see that there's not as many dots as there are cities, villages, towns, etc. in each country. But it's a good start. Now, what I want to do for this map is we want to create a map of capital cities around the world. And we can click on this little button up here, and this will show us our attribute table. And this attribute table kind of looks like an Excel spreadsheet, right? And shows us all of the data that we have. All right, so we can see the name, and we can sort it by the name, right? Alphabetical, up and down. We can see what country that it's in, all right, with the country's abbreviation. Yeah, there's a whole lot of information here. We can also see the latitude and longitude. All right, we can see if we can see the population. There's a lot of information here. So using this information, we can filter what we actually see on the map. right? And we only want to be able to see which cities are capitals of their respective countries. So let's double click on that layer. We're actually going to go to Source and do Query Builder. We're going to create an equation that tells QGIS which data points we want to see. Right? And we only want to see cities that are capitals, right? And this one right here says whether or not it is a capital. Right? So we double click. So ADM administrative capital equals, we're going to bring up our results. 0 means it is not, 1 means that it is. Right? So anything that equals 1 must be a capital. So if we have admin 0 capital equals 1, then that must mean that it's capital. So let's click OK. All right, and there we go. So now we have the capital of each country signified on the map. Now I can work with style. I can change the shape, the size, the color of these data points. And that's something that if you haven't seen how to do that, you can go back to module 1.1 and follow along with that, and you'll be able to figure out how to do all of that. And then the next step would be to take it to the print composer. And if you haven't seen how to do that, you can always go and watch our video from module 1.2. Right, so this is a really simple, easy way to work with some data and get a nice little map in the end. In the next tutorial, we're going to take the same data and we're going to learn how to do what's called rule-based queries. So instead of just one equation, we're going to make multiple equations that tell QGIS to do different things with different results.